Hey, what's up, guys? This is episode 7 of Just a Millennial. Today we're going to be talking about, are you just making noise or are you actually making an impact? This is Mikey Okendo.
I'm Mike Cherp.
And this is Just a Millennial. Oh, wait, that's not even it anymore, is it?
Oh, no, we changed that.
That's right. It's, I don't know. That's right.
You know what? I don't make a good impression. Intro. Well, guys, welcome back. As we said, this is episode 7.
I almost forgot.
7.
It's becoming more difficult to keep track. Like, as we get into more of these,
it's getting a little bit. It's like, yeah.
But
So today, what we really want to talk about is, I guess you could say the generic topic would be branding. If you want to get a little bit deeper, personal branding. If you want to get a little bit deeper, which is where we're at, are you that? Let me tell you a story. There's a guy standing in the middle of Park Avenue in New York City. And he has a small business, and he literally just stands in the middle of the road and shouts all day long with the bullhorn, telling everybody how great his product is.
people in New York actually do that too.
They do that.
Like with those little side stands.
Yep.
Sometimes they have cool stuff, and sometimes you're like, listen, man, I don't want your weird.
Speaking of people in New York, complete side topic. Like, you know what drives me nuts? Like, those guys that walk up to you, they pull the, like, drug deal handshake. Like, what's up, man? And then they, like, put a mixtape in your hand. Like, it's $10. I'm like, but I didn't want it. Like,
Yeah. That's right up there with the people who, like, you stop at a traffic light and then they just start washing your windshield. And you're like, hey, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing?
That's still a thing? Like, I don't think I have ever had that happen to me once.
No, it's not. I don't think it's common, but I mean, there are people that still do it for
I
sure.
actually changed my wiper
I hate
blade.
that though.
I mean, I kind of wish it still happened because I need to change my wiper blade, so it's probably better if they cleaned it. But he's just literally standing there shouting nonstop about his business. And a rival of his sees this and just kind of goes, WTF, mate, what are you doing? And meanwhile, he spends his time reaching clients, finding clients, and furthering his business and eventually taking customers away. Which one of those is you? Are you that person standing in the middle of the street just shouting at the top of your lungs that you're a car salesman and that you're so great? Or are you the person who's smart, strategic, analytical, takes the time to find what you need to do? Which side do you fall on?
And the other thing is, it's not even just about whether, like, the worst thing you can do is obviously blatantly go on and say, hey, I'm a salesman, like, money signs, bags of cash, buy from me so I can get another Rolex. Like, that's really bad. But another bad thing that you could do is just blow, like what Dave Villa talks about in a lot of his sales videos, feature dump and just blow people's heads off with, like, a crazy amount of, like overly specific analytical details about your car. And I know Laura Madison has done a fantastic job with personal branding over the course of her years as a salesperson. And one of the things she always talks about was keep it simple and, use customer language and things like that. But it's also like, did she do videos about like supercharged Toyota trucks and stuff? Sure. She made things like that would maybe draw some interest of a particular niche group. But every video she made wasn't just talking about horsepower and torque, because that appeals to a very specific audience, and you're not going to reach certain people if that's not what they care about. So you have to also consider what people actually want to hear versus it's kind of that weird thing. It's like if you picture one of those Venn diagrams, it's like what you want to say is over here, and then what other people want to hear is on this side, and then that sweet spot right in the middle is what's actually relevant and important to people. And if you're just saying what you want to say but people don't want to hear it, then you're just making noise.
Yeah. So I think the first area we'll jump into is probably the most prominent area, which is social media. I mean, if you don't have any form of a social media account in today's day and age, you're either 85 years old and don't have a computer, or you literally are like 5 years old and you can't fully comprehend how to use a smartphone yet.
And even then, my grandpa has Facebook.
My grandma does, but she's below the 85-year-old line. Like, if you're above
That's
85, like, Facebook's just not your thing anymore.
That's true.
But social selling isn't just blaring out on Twitter, hey, first customer to come down, I'll give you $500 off on your car. Hey, going on Facebook and putting a video out there. Like, when I say, if you're doing nothing but making noise, that's all you're doing. Like, okay, I'll make an example. I play on my worship team at church, and if I go in there and decide over the 2-hour period that I have my rehearsal that I'm literally just going to plug my headphones into my phone and just play nonstop, just go. How productive is my practice actually going to be with the other 8 people that are there in rehearsal time? Yeah. Not. Eventually, my pastor's going to look at me and go, just go home. Like, I don't even want to deal with you. Like, there's no point in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, I see so many people doing it and they're just putting themselves out there. And just because you make a lot of posts doesn't mean that you're getting actually a lot of visibility. And that's probably the biggest word in the social arena is visibility. Social media is one of the biggest assets, but is also one of the greatest pitfalls.
Because you can say whatever you want.
But here's the thing, you can't say whatever you want.
If you want people to pay attention.
That's very true. You know, I guess it's so cliche almost nowadays where, you know, you are your brand. What you put out there is what, you know, your brand is going to be. If you become known as that guy who does nothing but post political articles, you know, whatever side you're on, who cares?
Or just goofy opinions that...
Clearly I'm the left, I'm a left wing based on the fact that I'm on the left side of the couch. I don't like...
Well, what side are you on for them? Is it still the left or is it still the right? I don't know.
That's an interesting... I think I'm still left. It's backwards because we're looking at the screen, but I'm pretty sure it's left.
Okay.
Pretty sure
I just want to be sure because it's very confusing after a while.
Nope, I'm right. Ha, you're a liberal.
Right, of course.
I love that they're all literally this entire time, they're just like, dude, you're on the right. What's wrong with you?
It's pretty clear. Like, it's not clear to us.
It's clear that you are on the right. Anyway, but I think one of the biggest things is be strategic and be very
one thing
subtle.
too is you have to be there, like you said. If you don't have an account at all, or if you don't have an account on at least all of the networks that are the big networks,
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and as much as I'm against this because I don't use it, I downloaded it once, added a couple people, and had no desire to ever use it after. Snapchat apparently is like...
It's huge right now.
It's like the thing of all things. But I think you have to be very subtle in your way of working social media.
You do.
And I think one of the biggest things people make the mistake of is their personal account and their business, basically their personal life and their business life are combined under one umbrella. And they make the mistake of posting things that can, for lack of a better term, offend somebody. And
or it just doesn't make sense.
And we live in a day and age where Mikey's glasses offend me. Literally, there's nothing wrong with his glasses, but I'm offended by them. Anything can be offensive to anybody.
And it can muddy the water.
And unfortunately, there's so many things that can go wrong with that. Again, I'll reference the fact that I'm on a praise and worship team. There was an instance a couple weeks ago. I probably hadn't even been home like one real night in like 2.5 weeks, like between work, church. We were at the conference. It was just like, it was nonstop. I felt really bad for my wife, so I made dinner and like I took a picture and posted it, but like you could tell that there was wine in the glasses. And of course it got posted on social media. So I get a text message, you know, from my pastor saying, hey, people were seeing this, like, and it didn't click in my head. And it was like, okay. So I ended up taking it down. But that right there, you know, if you have to, I think one of the biggest things is you have to have somebody that might be able to call you on some of the stuff you post, because somebody can look at you and go, that's really not helping you. Like, there's no reason for you to post that. Sharing articles is one thing, because Facebook has literally become nothing but a giant share wall Everybody just does nothing but share posts, and it drives me nuts. That's why I don't ever get on it anymore. But
you want it to be relevant to your brand, because you need to have a clear brand message that you're trying to get across. Absolutely. If that's what you're doing. And if you're sharing a bunch of random stuff that's about personal life, which, hey, obviously you're a person, you need to have a personality, but I mean, you don't want to go too crazy with that, because you're going to make it to where people have an unclear message. And anytime you lack clarity, I mean, clarity is the biggest thing that you can have on social media, because then you let people know what you want.
For the term that we use quite often on this show, transparency.
Yeah.
We love that word. That's like our buzzword.
It's not just about telling people your price. It's about being clear with people and letting them know what you want and what you're trying to accomplish. And if you're sharing cars one day and pricing and sales or whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's optimal or not, and then the next day you're sharing something that's just completely irrelevant, it's something about Donald Trump in the news, like, look, you can do whatever you want and have your own opinions, but maybe spread that out so that people either, one, don't get turned off and offended, or two, just start to forget that you sold cars to begin with, and they start thinking you as the guy with the opinions on whatever matter versus the guy who can provide value to them and help them with their next car purchase and make it a seamless, enjoyable process.
I think one thing, I believe it was actually Laura on one of her articles I read, not really article, blog post, whatever you want to call it, whatever. We have so many words for it now. She actually wrote, if you don't get it, don't try.
Yeah.
Don't step into an area on social media. Like, if you don't understand how to function on Snapchat and like can't figure it out, you're going to do more damage than good by putting something out there that's just completely incorrect. Same thing with Instagram. Like, if you go to post a picture of a car and you suddenly post a picture of yourself saying, look at this brand new 2016 Chevrolet Malibu, and you're like, I will quote Kevin Hart and change a word. Stay in your social lane.
Yes. Which
For those of you that don't know, that's stay in your financial lane. Yes. But stay in your social lane. That is the biggest thing. Everybody has the ability to learn something new every single day. And if you learn how to use a new avenue on social media properly, awesome. That's great. But I know for me, I personally, like, my biggest one that I use is Instagram. More than anything in the world, I'm on Instagram. I have a Twitter account that rarely gets used other than when I'm heckling Arnold T. Arena on Autodeal Live days. I have a Facebook account, which really, like, when I put new videos out, like, I pretty much just share it out because I know a bunch of people that aren't on Instagram or other avenues. I have a Snapchat account. I don't currently have the app because
don't use it.
I don't understand the purpose of it. It doesn't.
And you know your lane. You know that's not what you prefer.
And it's just not my thing. I had a Vine account. I think I made one video to make fun of Samsung one day. And it was just,
But you tried it.
But there's so many apps out there. There's something for everybody, and you can find your niche, however you want to say it. I say niche, you say niche, whatever.
Yeah.
I think moving into the next step, talking about apps and all these different avenues, there's one avenue everybody seems to be on, and unfortunately, it's become kind of when social selling first came out, which was not even last year, almost the year before when it was really new. Everybody saw it, everybody saw that it was working, and everybody decided to jump on that bandwagon, and unfortunately that bandwagon immediately crashed because so many people were weighing it down, and that's video. Video marketing for so many people is done so wrong all the time. And I, as a video production person, like, I see this and I'm just like, how did you ever think that was a good idea?
And the crazy thing too with video, with any of these social networks that we're talking about, I think one of the biggest things that you can take from this as well is one of the things we talked about before is just knowing yourself and being self-aware enough to know what your lane is, but more importantly, how you learn, because as Mike was saying, sometimes you got to figure things out. It's always good to just maybe go head first and try something out and give it a shot and make yourself uncomfortable, but it's also good to be prepared. Yeah. It's also good to take some time to learn a little bit about the network and what people use it for and what they like to consume the most. And if you go on Facebook and you're doing these long text posts and you're unaware of the fact that people prefer video consumption on that platform, and same with a lot of these other things, you're going to get on it and try it, and then you're going to think it failed. But it's not really because the network doesn't work. It's because you didn't take some time to research into it and to know yourself well enough to know what it is you're going to be good at, what network you should be on, and how to use it. So take some time and look into it. But also, another thing is too, like, look, if you're not on some of these networks, and maybe that's because you're older, maybe you feel like you would look goofy on it. Oh, I'm middle-aged. People are going to think I'm going through a midlife crisis if I get on all these networks. And first off, that's not the case. You're actually going to be completely normal. And second of all, if you happen to be doing that, I will plead with you, if you happen to be doing that because you're romanticizing about the old ways and, oh, I miss how people used to write letters to each other and how they would learn calligraphy and all of these fantastic things. Like, please, I beg you, do not romanticize about things of the past and how things used to be. There's nothing wrong with being nostalgic and looking back at that, but don't let that prevent you from making progress into the future, because that will impact your sales, your dealership, everything you do. It's a big deal.
But, on that topic, and I'm actually going to jump into that in a second, with videos, I think there's a couple of key things if you're going into that area that you need to keep in mind. Number one, everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has a smartphone, whether you have an iPhone, whether you have a Samsung, whether you have a pay-as-you-go Android, I don't know.
A burner.
But yeah, a burner phone, for all those drug deals. You also have the web browser that changes your IP address, and we should probably, let's talk, I know a couple people that can move some stuff, and yeah, that just happened. I think one of the biggest things is, if you're going to shoot videos with your phone, take I think the one that we just got for you for our Periscopes, it was like $12.
Yeah.
Invest in a miniature tripod, like something very, very simple. It does not have to be some $100 carbon fiber amazing looking thing. It just needs to be super simple. And always shoot landscape. Always. People, it drives me nuts. People that shoot videos like this, like if somebody's holding the camera and you see it, you're just like...
And then they post it to Facebook or something, and it does that thing where the edges of it are just black space, and then the video is just in the middle, and it's very obvious why. And it just didn't turn sideways.
It's so simple. People just turn your phone.
Unless you're on Snapchat, that's the only time you should, or Periscope, that's really the only time that makes sense. If you're shooting a video on your phone, recording it natively on your phone, not on Periscope or anything else, and you're going to post it to Facebook, you got to do that. You have to.
It's so simple. It's just the flick of the wrist.
And the tripod's cool because there's nothing wrong with doing a little selfie angle, where you can just kind of hold it out. That's fine. You can do videos like that, but you don't want to do everything like that. Sometimes you want to get a different angle. Sometimes you want to be further away. Maybe if you're doing a car, you want to get a car in a picture. You can't do that if you're just holding it in your hand the whole time.
Yeah. The second step is, just like the tripod, there's also, make an investment. Something that, is probably, they're not bad on the phones, but they could be so much better is, pick up an inexpensive microphone. They make microphones that will plug into your phone, or borrow somebody else's phone, or, however you want to do it. I think it's $80 to buy this microphone. It's a lapel, just like we use. It plugs right in, records automatically. Stitched together. You don't have to be some, Michael Bay-esque style video editor to
just put explosions in.
You just put explosions everywhere. Just boom. I think the third thing is your image. More than anything in the world, the way you look and the way you present yourself. Just like it's important when you see a customer on the lot, it is super important on the internet. Because on the internet, there's no filter.
And that's all you get.
And if you're brave enough to post things on the internet, especially videos, just make sure that you look proper and you look clean. And if you go on there with messy hair, your shirt's, torn, things like that. And I know these sound so simple and so cliche.
But people don't do it.
But you have to understand, it's like warning labels on some of the stupid...
They're there for a reason.
If you on the side of antifreeze, there is a warning label that says, do not drink, may be toxic. Do you want to know why? Not because it's toxic, because somebody was dumb enough one day to drink it. Meaning that warning label had to be put on there as a CYA for the company that makes it, because somebody was one day dumb enough to do it. Hence the reason we're bringing up these certain things. Somebody has done this, we've seen it, and it's just like, ugh.
Now, we will say that the microphone's important. The camera angles are important. You need to do all of those things. But more than anything else, if you're not doing anything right now, like if you're literally doing nothing, if you have no YouTube videos, if you're, I mean, not that this applies to car dealers, but if you're on Vimeo and you're a photographer or something, you want to use Vimeo for high-res videos. If you aren't on Facebook or Twitter, you're not doing anything, you're not posting anything, you're not doing blogs, or maybe you're doing them very irregularly, just do something, please. Like it's take our advice, do good videos, do good quality angles, everything like that. Work on making the investment. But if you're a manager out there and you want to start doing this, or if you're a salesperson, you can't get the buy-in from your boss because he's thinking, well, what's the ROI from this? You've tried this before and you haven't gotten any deals off of this, or, why would I buy this for you even if it's only $12 because, you've got no views in the past on your videos. Like, sometimes you need to get into it and just do it, and you're not going to love it the first time you do it, what you put out on the internet, but take our advice, be professional, do the best you can, try to keep in mind what angles you're shooting at for pictures, videos. Be professional when you're writing, but do something. Just take action.
Yeah. We got to wrap this up because I didn't start my timer, but I'm going to take the guess that we're probably over as we normally are.
Yeah.
We get that. We learned from the best on being over our time.
Yeah.
I'll end on two things. Number one, your personal brand is everything. What you do is your brand. People who know me outside of some of the people in the automotive space, my brand is I'm a drummer. Like, that's who I am. If you search my name on YouTube, you'll find my videos. If you search me on Instagram, I mean, you'll see most of my pictures have to do with drumming. But more importantly than that, something that will further your brand more than anything is the customer experience and people that you deal with. I recently sent my parents down I can actually say it because he knows exactly who he is. If he's watching, I'm glad that I could help out, and I'm glad that you helped them out. My parents wanted to buy a new car. I immediately thought of Rob Tarmino because they wanted a Nissan. He's down at Firkins Nissan in Bradenton. And they went down. I called them on a Saturday. I said, hey, my parents are going to be down there on Monday. This is what they're looking for. And, he told me, look, I don't have that particular one in stock, but I can get it, they're really, really close on price, but I can get them in a brand new 2016 versus a 2015. And I was like, all right, cool. Went down there and I get a text. My dad got there like 11:30. I got a text an hour later. They were in the F&I office signing all the paperwork. My mom texted me. It was the easiest process in the world. You want to know what that adds for him as his own brand? That's fact huge. That my mom texted me like 3 or 4 times over the week, like throughout the week, saying, I can't believe how simple it was to buy a car from him. In general, just to buy a car. Like, customers' word of mouth is probably the biggest driving tool for you. And let me throw this out there. For somebody who may not be on there and somebody who may be doing this, I don't care if you're ripping off the idea. It's like drumming. 90% of what you hear in drumming was stolen by somebody else from some other song. Something that's really simple if you make a Facebook account. When you sell a car, ask your customer, can I take a picture with you in front of your new car? And post it. Tag them in the post. Tag them. Make it so that they can actually share it to their friends. Because that right there, your one post can now reach, instead of just reaching however many friends you have, that could triple. Once that person decides to share out, because they excited, they were happy about their customer experience, they were happy they bought a car. Eventually, once you get past the demise of the 2 hours inside the dealership and maybe the 3 hours or 4 hours in total, you eventually are happy when you finally have your car. And if you have provided a good customer experience, they will share that with their friends. And that is one of the biggest ways to become visible on social, is that word of mouth. Somebody going, such and such at ABC Ford helped me out. One of the best salespeople I've ever met.
And by the way, how did Rob get in touch with you? Is because he was on social media and he had meaningful engagement with us, with our brand, Auto Dealer Live at the time. He engaged with us. He started commenting and sending stuff to us that wasn't salesy. We had a show. We were providing content that we wanted people to comment on. That was a huge thing for us. He shared his thoughts with us, immediately connected him with us. He's been on our show before.
Yeah.
He's gotten business from you now, so that that investment for him turned into a deal. I mean, so there's your ROI right there. That's a perfect case study. It's huge.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, honestly, just to leave you guys with this too, something very simple. What we were just talking about, just taking action. Please do that. It's really, really important. And when we're talking about knowing yourself, please understand that you need to figure out how best it is that you're going to learn how to do this. Consumption may not be the thing. I know that all the gurus out there always tell you that you need to consume a certain amount of hours of audiobooks, or read a certain amount of books, or watch a certain number of videos, or take a part of this training course. And all of those things are very cool and important. If that's how you learn, great. Do it, learn, start implementing it. That's fantastic. But some people learn by doing. And it's not always the cleanest process because you're going to make mistakes and errors. But you need to figure out what you need to do, and if you learn by doing, start doing. If you learn by consumption of audio or reading or whatever, start doing that. Find books, they're out there, read them, implement them, and just get started.
I'll leave it with this. From what I've learned in sales, and I'm not a salesperson by any stretch of the imagination, I just don't possess the skill set to do sales. I know myself, I just can't do it. But from everything I've heard from a salesperson, if you're not taking the extra step in today's market to reach customers, you might as well just go work somewhere else where you don't have to put in the extra investment, because you're only ever going to make a mediocre living.
Or get your face punched in every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not worth it. Like, don't stress yourself, don't kill yourself over it. Just find
the hours, the stress. It's not an easy job.
No.
So, like you said, if you're going to make a mediocre living, then why don't you do that somewhere that's more comfortable?
Yep. Well, on that note, before Lacey goes nuts over here, we are out of here. I'm Mike Cherub.
This is Mikey Okindo.
We'll see you next week. Stay tuned for my monster drink. No, not monster. Starbucks drink of the week in 3, 2, 1. This week is a brand new drink from Starbucks. It is called the Smoked Butterscotch Latte.
That sounds like diabetes.
It's slightly interesting. I might add it to my repertoire of usual drinks.